Hi, everyone. Today, I'm going to read the project sheet, project 2. And after I've finished reading it, I'll show you an example of working in layers in Photoshop. So let me open the project sheet. Here it is. This is project 2, scape painting in Adobe Photoshop, ways of showing space, light logic, and color palettes, using brushes and layers in Adobe Photoshop. So number 1, step 1, take 5 photos of familiar places that have at least 2 historical ways of showing space in the 2-dimensional picture plane. Read Ways of Showing Space on Canvas. Confer with the professor to pick the best one for project 2. So most of you have started sending me photos, and we've picked the photo that you're going to use. About half of you. So the other half still have to do that. Please do that. Step 2, create a new Adobe Photoshop document, 10 by 16 inches, landscape or portrait orientation, color mode CMYK. Place your chosen photo on the bottom layer and scale proportionately to fill the smaller 10-inch dimension. Crop using the crop tool your canvas to the larger dimension of the placed photo. The demo given during lecture. Well, one of the demos is today, what I'm doing right now. Do a line drawing for placement on the bottom layer of your document using a small, round, hard-edged brush. 4, create new layers, background, middle ground, foreground. Paint from your image in those spaces. As before in the last project, you don't have to copy your photo, you can just use it for inspiration. Using layers in Photoshop is similar to using layers in Illustrator. You can create as many layers as you need, but be efficient. Too many is hard to work with. Watch the tutorial by the professor. So I'm going to do another tutorial in which I place a photo and do a little drawing or start doing a drawing on top. But this is just to show you today an example by a student in which he works in layers in Photoshop. Familiarize yourself with the brushes in Photoshop by watching LinkedIn Learning, lynda.com, and video by this professor. I put a video into Module 5, which I'll also activate today. And it is a video about the mixer brush, which is a really cool brush that you'll enjoy doing a exercise with. So you should also watch tutorials about the mixer brush other places such as YouTube or whatever you can find. You may sample local color from the photo or create palettes from the photo using the blend tool in Illustrator, which we did in exercise 3, if you remember. And placing an extended area of your Photoshop painting, which I demonstrated, I think, in exercise. Well, I haven't demonstrated yet, but I will. So you can extend the area of your canvas and put your palettes on that. In the final version, this is step 5, you will crop those color palettes out and then save as an Adobe PDF file to hand in. Okay, great. That's the project. Now I'm going to show you an example by a student from actually last semester. His name was Ryan Deckeny, and he did this pretty well. So I'm going to show you his layers. This is his final piece. So in Photoshop, here's the layers palette, and I'll bring it down a little bit so you can see the whole thing. So he probably did, he started with a reference photo. This was his reference photo, which you're going to have also. It was of some dishes near LA in the desert, some satellite dishes. So if you want to dim it, the way we did with the Illustrator photo when we painted on top of it, in Photoshop, it's really easy in the layers palette. You just go to the top of the layers palette where the parameters are and turn the opacity down. So you want it to show through quite a lot so you can see what you're drawing. Here is his sketch on top of that. On top of the photo, he made a sketch. He probably had that sketch right on top, of course, of the photo when he started, but he left it on top and made the layers in between. So the layers will come in on top of whatever layer you're on at the time. So I will turn off his sketch layer just so you can see what he did. Here's his background colors, which were the sky and some of the colors that he saw in the sky. The clouds, which he had trouble with, and you can make brushes that look like cloud brushes. I think there's even a Photoshop cloud brush that you can use. But you can make your own or look online and see what other people have made for painting clouds. Then here are his mountains, and he did 2 layers of mountains. I put in the words background. He actually just called them the name of the subject that he was painting, and a lot of people do that, but I think it's really helpful to put in BG for background or middle ground, midground, foreground. So you can do that. I think it's helpful, but you don't have to. You can. So here he had, here is the 2 background mountains layers, and then midground dirt, and he has the background trees, foreground road, midground dishes, satellite dishes, and he has foreground clutter, and actually they're rocks. He called them clutter, but they're rocks. And also sort of sage bushes, which he doesn't name. And then the sketch is on top, but he left that off when he saved it. So also the reference layer was off when he saved it. Okay, and then you're going to, this is a PDF, this is a PSD. This was done in Photoshop, so it started as a PSD document, and I want you then to save it as a PDF with layers to turn in. Okay, thank you.